It finally leaked. It's following a crazy offseason of Mitch Marner rumors surrounding his future in Toronto beyond this season. A brand new report has dropped revealing some big information surrounding Marner's future in Toronto. We also have some wild comments from himself on his future, and break that down as well as discuss some updates on Matthew Nyes as well. But before we get into it, folks, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Leafs content. About 71% of you who are watching this right now aren't subscribed, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. And thank you guys again for your continued support. There's a lot to go over today. Some very interesting news surrounding Mitch Marner. Now, obviously, we had a video earlier today on the updates for tomorrow's game, a big game coming up tomorrow. Each of these games matters more and more with each passing day. But a huge article dropped revealing some big information, and for the first time, we got a number for Mitch Marner and his contract that is leaked and been revealed. Let's dive right into the bunch of things we're going over today. As you can see this here from The Athletic exclusive. If he hits the open market, Mitch Marner could be the most coveted free agent in half a decade, which is an absurd, crazy headline. But how did he react to being asked to waive his no-trade clause? We got a bunch of information now surrounding Mitch Marner, and he spoke out himself. Let's dive into it a little bit here. Recently sat down with Jonas Siegel to discuss the topics like his contract, the Four Nations, etc. With contract talks stalled and free agency looming, Mitch Marner's future in Toronto is unclear. He declined to waive his no-movement clause after the Leafs explored trading him. I'm just here to play hockey. That's what I expressed at the start of the year and express now. It's a business out there. I know what's going on. So there's a bunch of things we're going to dive into here. And the number that we're expecting to see is around $12.6 million over 8 years is what the projected value was. Frank Saravalli has come out and said he's going to be pushing $14 million. So we got a number leaked. We got Mitch Marner himself coming out and revealing a ton of information. We're going to dive into the rest of the comments in a minute here. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's very interesting. And again, if you read the whole article, we're not going to spoil the entire article, but I was getting big, like, I'm just here so I don't get fine Marshawn Lynch vibes from this article, where it was like every question was like, I'm just here to play hockey. I'm just here to play hockey. We know that, but we're trying to get some information here on what you're thinking, right? Because you're kind of holding the team up to a degree with some of the other free agents and obviously an RFA and Matthew Nyes that need to get signed. So now we have a little bit of clarity. And I mean, like, to think that Mitch Marner is going to sign for as much as Mikko Rantanen, I think that's a little short-sighted at this time. I think, we can all recognize now at this point he's probably going to make a little bit more because of the tax situation and the fact that the salary cap is going up, right? We do have to take all of those things into account. But I mean, there's no way that the Leafs can offer him $14 million dollars or north of $14 million. I don't think that makes any sense. There's also another number flying around out there, which is 12.6. I think I would actually be okay with 12.6, like actually very okay for what he brings to the table. The only thing to me after, all of this is we're going to say it again. It all depends on this year's playoffs. If the Leafs go out in the first round in the same fashion again, or even the second round in the same fashion, I don't even know if there's going to be an appetite to bring back Mitch Marner, amongst the fan base. I know obviously a lot of people like Mitch Marner and would want that, but for me personally, just speaking personally at this point in time, like I don't know if the appetite would be there for Mitch Marner, right? I think that you would have to make some changes because it's clearly not working. So why would you sign? Why would you lock in more of the same long term, right? It wouldn't make too much sense to me. But again, it's an interesting interview. He didn't give away too much. He's sticking to his guns, which I do have to respect. He said at the start of the year, I'm not going to discuss a contract during the season. He's sticking to his guns. And although we are getting a few numbers now, which I think is, slowly opening the door to maybe a contract extension before free agency. But at the same time, he has said that, or his agent has said that they're going to test free agency.
Yeah, and looking at some of the other comments from the actual interview here, Preston White hasn't signed an extension. He didn't reveal much. Sorry, that'll come when that'll come. And beyond his contract, Marner addressed handling the pressure in Toronto where he's faced more criticism than some of his other teammates. We haven't had success, but you have to block out all the noise. I think there's a lot more negative than positive stuff constantly. You just want to focus on what you can do as a teammate, as a player on the ice to help your team win games. That's what I'm focused on now. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it seems like the interview was more lip service than anything. Surprised they actually got him for an interview at this point in the season now with less than 10 games away from the playoffs. See this here. He also talked about some things. Now, contract aside, we'll dive back into it in a little bit. He talked about kind of the high pressure moments and something specifically that's been a problem with him and everybody in the core four has been performing for the most part in the playoffs. And now we're a couple weeks away from the playoffs. He said regarding the high pressure moments, maybe, but I played big pressure moments in London as well. It's not something, sorry, you try to shy away from or be afraid of. It's something that you try to embrace. And I think I've done that. There are probably people out there with their opinions on it, but that's why we don't give a crap about what people say. You just try to do what you do. And he also spoke out on the Four Nations face-off, just confidence. I've always had the belief in myself and how to try to play. So this is going to be interesting because he's obviously been in the NHL for a long period of time now. It is going to be a very important postseason for the Toronto Maple Leafs, the most important one out of the core four. And then you look at how much he's going to be getting in the offseason. I mean, really, I think for the Leafs, it matters a lot how he performs this upcoming offseason or playoffs, heading into the offseason for the contract extension. And if you're paying him $14 million, again, the report came out that he's going to be the most coveted, could be the most coveted free agent in half a decade. Doesn't bode well for the Toronto Maple Leafs if they get eliminated in the second round and then they have to choose whether or not to extend Mitch Marner. But with the number that's now being thrown out, things are getting interesting. And the high pressure moments is something that's just as important because he struggled in those in the playoffs. Not just him, of course, Austin Matthews, all the core four, but specifically the Leafs in general, they've struggled. So that's going to be the big difference maker for him this season.
And he's not lying, right? When he says in that quote that he has played in high pressure situations and succeeded, especially with the London Knights, he has. He's won an OHL championship. He won a Memorial Cup. That's junior hockey. That is the OHL, right? This is the NHL, and we haven't seen it yet at the NHL level. And we're how many years? I guess 9 years in at this point. We have to see it this year if this is going to continue. And I think that if things do change, I think a lot of people would be open to a contract extension because, things change with Ovechkin, right? He ended up winning a Stanley Cup. Things change all the time with different players. They finally get it. They get over that, the mental hump, the mental block, what have you, right? So I think that it is possible that, he does change the minds of a lot of people this coming playoffs, right? And I think the Leafs should look to, extend him. I think that should be the first order of business for sure because, letting him walk for nothing, that's going to be tough. But again, it's going to come down to performance in the playoffs. And the other thing to keep in mind too is any other team, if he does walk to free agency, yes, they're going to back up the Brinks truck for him, right? We know that. There's a lot of teams like Chicago and New York is probably going to be able to offer him a lot of money over the course of 7 years, but the Leafs can offer him a little bit less per year, but more money overall with the 8-year contract extension. So that's something to keep in mind too, that the AAV might come down a little bit. But I am becoming more open to the idea of giving him a little bit more money per year because the salary cap is going up and it will look better by the time you get to year 3, year 4 of that deal. But it can't be anything absurd. It can't be like $15 million. You have to be paid in comparison to other players around the league what you're worth, right? And when you look at a guy like Austin Matthews, a lot of people say, yes, he's not performing this year. I think he's dealing with an injury, but he's a centerman, right? He brings more to the table, I think. So, and he's playing more on the penalty kill this year as well. So all things to consider. I think it just comes down to performance and how much he digs in, how much he buys into the system this year in the playoffs, and how far the Leafs go.
Yeah, and obviously it's going to be interesting. You look at his stats this season. Most assists versus the Atlantic Division. Lane Hudson with 28, Mitch Marner with 26. Obviously, Mitch Marner being there is impressive. I mean, obviously more impressive probably is Lane Hudson being there, but I'm not going to get into my Lane Hudson talk today. But at the end of the day, he's a very good player, Mitch Marner, that is. And it's going to be something that's crazy. Regarding Matthew Knies, it's very unlikely he also gets offer sheeted. We'll have another video coming out on that as well. So a bunch of players are going to be in the mix here, whether that be John Tavares, Mitch Marner, all these guys. We'll keep you up to date with all the latest news. So make sure to subscribe button. Let us know down below what the amount you'd be comfortable paying Mitch Marner is. Thank you guys for watching.